Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here, and here we are, episode 5, halfway through the season of Picard season 3. Wow, what an episode. I feel like a broken record now on these reviews. I'm like, do I bother doing a review? I don't know, because I just feel like I'm repeating myself now that it's just such a great show. Once you kind of get used to the aesthetics and the swearing, it's getting harder to criticize what's happening each week. But the people out there with a lot more scrupulous eye who I sure will tear it apart. But hey, I'm just enjoying the hell out of this show. So we had the return of a classic character in this episode. So let's get into it. Wow. So obviously the Titan escaped last week. They're heading back to Federation space. And we start off with a scene that Jack goes onto the bridge. He's sort of challenged as to why he's there. Next thing you know, he's pulled out a phaser and he's killing all the bridge crew. Obviously, this turns out to be a nightmare. He wakes up in a cold sweat and he's like really traumatized by this dream. And then we kind of cut to Picard, Riker, Shaw, and Seven. Talking about the situation, about how the changelings have managed to get on board. How are they beating the scanners? Again, we're told that obviously the changelings can impersonate on sight, but ever since the Dominion War, they've had scanners and blood tests, which will show that internally they're not human, just externally. So how are they getting around this? How long have they been there? How long has this all been going on? So they know they've got to speak to Starfleet about this. And there's also we've also got to face the music as well for stealing a ship and going to rescue Beverly and Jack. Shaw's like, well, obviously I've already told Starfleet everything, and they're on their way to meet us. And everybody's like, great. And he sort of just says to the three of them, right, I'll just leave you three to make up your bullshit excuse. And leaves the room. And leaves them to it. And obviously Picard is like, look, guys, I'll take the brunt of this. I'll take the fall, because obviously I've kind of roped you all into it, kind of thing. They leave, and Picard catches up with Jack, and they have a quick exchange. And Picard sort of speaks to him about, when this is now things are done, and we've got you and you're okay. Had you thought about joining Starfleet? And Jack is like, hell no. He's like, yeah, I don't think Starfleet's the sort of place for me. And Beverly joins them, and the sort of conversation is around, is this really all over? Things, because Picard's saying, well, now things, I've got you and you're fine. And then Beverly's like, yeah, I don't think things are fine. Jean-Luc, we've got changelings on board, and I want to know how the hell they're beating out our senses, our traps. Which he agrees, and so she asks the permission to do an autopsy, which he goes, yeah, go find out as much as you can about these things. But then joined by another Federation vessel, the Intrepid, and they send a shuttlecraft across, which straight away everybody's like, well, that's weird. Why aren't they just transporting across? Everybody's a bit on edge. Even Shaw's like, well, that's because he's obviously protocol man. he's like, well, why are they sending a shuttle? What's going on? And at this point, we cut back to Worf and Rafaela, as she's now called. It was sparring and fighting, as you'd expect, because he's sort of teaching her to be a warrior. So we're sort of back to their sort of subplot of what's going on, and they're sort of discussing and fighting. He's trying to sort of train her, and she's still incredibly headstrong and not really listening to what he's saying. And they want to go ahead and they're asking for information on the Daystrom Institute where these weapons were stolen from. And they get a message from their handler, or Worf's handler, to say, sort of carry on investigating, but sort of stand down on certain aspects. Don't go poking around. Sort of get. There's too much going on. Like try and stay under the radar. Just stand down for now, and sort of work it out. Worf's like, cool, but of course she's like, oh, this is ridiculous. We need to do this. We need to do that. Blah 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 blah. And Worf again tries to say, look, we've been told to stand down. Rushing off headlong doesn't get us anywhere. And look what happened last time. I had to come and rescue you. And then she does make a good point to say, the Daystrom Institute is protected by this super advanced AI that that just a run-of-the-mill criminal can't break into. So how did these changelings, or who have managed to break into this highly guarded institute? And they're like, well, the one person that would know, which is Sneed, was the guy that Worf chopped his head off. To which is that the point he goes, well, if you hadn't gone charging in there, we'd have had to kill him, and we could have asked him, couldn't we? So, but by sort of killing off this Sneed, there's a bit of a power vacuum in the underworld on the planet now, Metalis, and so Worf says, oh, I think there's somebody else we can ask, because he explains this power vacuum's opened up, and he searches on the computer and finds this guy called Kryn. He's his Vulcan gangster. Who knew? And they basically go back to the planet to track him down and find out what he knows, and try and find out how the hell they managed to break into this institute. They're sort of when they get there, like everybody's scared of them because they basically took out Sneed, so everybody sort of scuttles away, and basically, and Worf just sort of sits there and sort of goes to meditate, and again she's like, oh, well, what are you doing, blah blah blah, and he's like, oh, we'll wait, they'll come to us, kind of thing. And eventually, obviously, they do turn up. It turns out that they kind of think they've sort of set a trap, that Raffi with Worf is actually sort of a hologram, and she's got a gun on the others, but they anticipate them doing this, and they both end up captured. And this Kryn sort of, basically sets it up that, the two of you are here, but only one of you is going to leave, kind of thing. And they basically got to fight each other to death, and whoever survives gets to live, kind of thing. And Worf, when they were on the ship and sort of arguing, he says to her, don't pretend to understand what I have sacrificed to be here. Because she's all like, come on, let's go. And I can't believe you're being so calm. And, and he's like, don't profess to know what I've been through so far to get to this point. So again, he sort of says to her, you don't know what I've sacrificed to get here, kind of thing, like, make a sacrifice. And he goes, I can't hold back, because he's like Klingon, so I'm coming for you. And they start to fight, and you've got the gangster they're all talking about odds, and I've got X amount of money on the Klingon to win, and this, that, and the, like, jeering them on. And it ends with Raffi stabbing Worf, and he kills over, potentially like dead or going to be dead shortly. And the gangsters all sort of smug, and goes, oh, I didn't see that one coming. My money was on the Klingon, kind of thing. And they take the body away. That Klingon blood stinks, and they drag Worf's body away. He's then sort of saying, right, oh, you're now on my payroll. You work for me to old Riff Raff. And then the next thing, you kind of hear this sort of sword and the ching, 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 and all these gangsters just get taken out one by one until Kryn is just left standing. Obviously, Worf's not dead, thank God. And obviously that was when he sort of saying about sacrifice, like, I'm prepared to sort of take one for the team. It's all sort of set up between them. And they then start asking him questions, and he's like, well, why would I tell you anything? And obviously he's Vulcan, even though he's not worried about his emotions. And she's like, well, you got a very angry Klingon who's bleeding out behind you, so you probably want to tell him what he wants to know. And he's like, yeah, good point. So he goes on to explain that he managed to get this device sort of on the black market that enabled them to fool the AI, that somehow they could get past the AI. And he then agrees with one arm up his back, to hand this device over to them both. So back on the Titan, nearly said the Enterprise, back on the Titan, the ship is now docked, and this is where our classic character comes back in. For those who are TNG fans, the character was introduced in season 5 as Ensign Ro. She was Bajoran, a kind of under the wing of Jean-Luc. She sort of became a mentor to her. Obviously, there was the whole backstory of very much told in Deep Space Nine around the Cardassians and the Bajorans, and obviously the oppression of her people with the Cardassians and all of that. And so she's about four episodes in season 5, I think, 4 or 5 episodes. And then we saw her final episode in season 7, the penultimate episode called Preemptive Strike. And when she's basically brought onto the Titan, there's a conversation between Picard and Riker. Once they see her, it kind of just gives a bit the reminder of what happened. So she went undercover with the Marquis to try and bring the Marquis down as they were attacking Cardassians, and it was risking the peace treaty after the Dominion War and stuff, or progressed Dominion War. And she ended up sympathizing and leaving Starfleet, sort of betraying Jean-Luc and joining the Marquis. And he's like, when he's talking to Will, he's still incredibly bitter about this. He's absolutely livid. Like, like say she was a bit of his protege. He trusted her, and he felt completely betrayed. And he's still really angry. And even Riker's like, Jean-Luc, it was like 35 years ago, dude. And Picard's like, I don't care. She betrayed me. She broke my heart, babe. So yeah. but even Riker was kind of taken aback. It's just those who don't remember the character. So this is Ro. She's now Commander Ro. She says she's going to interview Jean-Luc first, and obviously there's a bit of a standoff. He's obviously very cagey around her. She doesn't trust him, and she sort of says, "I hear you have a changeling problem on board." And there's obviously quite a frosty exchange with them both. While this is happening, Beverly's been doing the autopsy on the changeling, and what they've found is that the changeling, when they become a human, they can also now internally replicate human organs, blood, hence how they can get through the scanners. It's not until that you sort of violently aggravate the organs that they return back into their liquid state. So she messages Picard. He says, it's a personal medical matter, I need to go to console. Comes up on the screen that changelings now can't be identified through blood, so any sort of blood test won't work. So he knows this. He turns back to his seat. While these conversations are going on, there's a whole, well, we don't trust each other. And she says, oh, let's get this out of the way. She takes a knife, cuts her hand and bleeds. But Jean-Luc's now got this information saying doesn't mean anything. They can fake bleeding. She wants to see she wants to know what he knows about the changelings. And he's like, well, we don't know anything. We killed it. And she's like, right, I want to see the body. And he's like, okay. And they leave to go to the big sick bay to go see the changeling's body and what Beverly's found out. On the way there, she pulls her phaser and takes Picard to the holodeck, where 10 Forward is still running for some reason. Why? I don't know. Let's get the most out of this set, shall we? But anyway, so 10 Forward's still running. Jean-Luc goes behind the bar. She goes to sit down, or she's on one side of the bar. He then picks up a phaser as well, and he's like, guy-ins, because holodeck. And he turns the safety protocols off, though. It's very clear. You see him turning the safety protocols off, so he can kill her with the phaser. Very important. because Terry actually knows how this stuff works, which always helps. Yeah, so obviously there's a very candid conversation that happens between them, and he, you know, he wants to understand why she betrayed him, and she explains that, you know, she didn't see it as betrayal and all of this, and that they basically, through the nature of their conversation, how hurt they both were by the situation, they realised that obviously neither of them are changelings, and this enables her to confide in Jean-Luc, and she tells him that she's been investigating, that Starfleet's compromised at the highest level. There's changelings at all levels in the fleet, and she asks him, what does he know about Frontier Day? And he's like, well, why? It's sort of just a pomp and ceremony. I was supposed to give a speech. And she's like, you know, well, the whole of the fleet is going to be, you know, in orbit for this thing. I'm really worried that something's going to happen when our sort of, you know, our pants are down, as Kirk would say. So so he's now, she's sort of brought him up to speed. They go to leave, and obviously the point of coming across, which I forgot to mention, is that yet again is to get Jack. And everybody's a bit like, again, well, why do they want Jack? So she leaves. She basically tells the two security people that came across with her, right, we're going back to the shuttle. And she's like, and they're like, well, we haven't got Jack. And she's like, that's an order. And she basically tells Picard to basically get the ship and get out of there. There's bound to be changelings on the Intrepid, like they're literally everywhere. So she will try and, you know, buy them some time when she gets back to the Intrepid, but they've got a hot foot out there. Then we basically see her on the shuttle, and the two security guards put one of the bombs that we saw on the Titan when the changeling crippled the ship. They put that on the floor. They beam out back to the Titan to go get Jack. But also this bomb has an inhibitor on it, so they can't beam Ro out. She tries to get hold of the Intrepid, saying, what the hell's going on? My security team's, you know, transported out. Then she realizes there's a bomb. She then gets in touch with the Titan, is able to get a message through to talk to Jean-Luc and the bridge crew. She explains what's gone on, that the changelings know they've put a bomb on the ship and she can't get out. Basically, and they're saying there's an inhibitor, but if you come closer to the Titan, we may be able to lock on you and beam you out. But she's like, no, and she actually flies towards the Intrepid. And Jean-Luc's like trying to sort of say to like, don't do this kind of thing. And there's a bit of a parting, you know, that they sort of wished that they'd spoken sooner and that they've been able to have been friends the last, you know, however many years. And she basically flies the shuttle as close to the Intrepid's engine, one of the engines that she can, to take that out to slow them down. So again, not an act to kill people on the Intrepid, but to damage the ship. This then gives the opportunity. So basically, like Picard's like, right, we've got to get out of here. We've got to run. And Shaw's a little bit, whoa, hang on. We're running from our own people. What the hell? You know, we can't go on the run. You know, you're insane. And they're like, look, just open your eyes. You've just seen it with your own eyes. What's happened? You know. So Shaw finally goes, okay, like, you know, get us out of here. Gauge warp. And they manage to warp away as the Intrepid fires on them. They manage to get away. It's all happening, and then we see obviously the two changelings that are on the shuttle have been back, and another two beamed on from the Intrepid before the Titan got away. They find Jack on the ship. At this point, earlier on in the episode, Picard had asked Seven to help hide Jack. By doing that, put him in a Starfleet uniform because he's harder to spot, sort of hide him in plain sight. He's in the corridor with these changelings, and they go after him, and he, throughout the episode, he keeps getting these visions, and he keeps seeing like this sort of red weed, sort of like from War of the Worlds, like creeping along the corridors and in the transport, taking over the transporters, and he keeps sort of zoning in and out. He keeps going like Manchurian Candidate, like he keeps zoning out and seeing himself killing people, and then he's like back in the room and he's getting more and more disturbed by this. So when the changelings try and grab hold of him, he then basically just sort of zones out and just takes him out like a secret agent type kind of, yeah, just shoots them in the head, just boom, 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 and then he sort of comes out of it and sees what he's done, and you can tell that it's like he's like, I don't know how to do this. What the hell, So then we go to we go to Riker and Picard. And Riker's like, are you okay, Jean-Luc? I know what she meant to you. And he was a bit like, I actually don't, I'm not sure, and so just this minute I kind of realized, what I've lost. And he says to Riker that just before she left, she gave me her Bajoran earring. And he goes, I don't know why. And Riker's like, I do. Good old spy king Riker. He's like, it's, old spy trick. And he puts it on the computer, and it's obviously got some sort of chip in it, and it's all of her investigation, everything that she's found out, who she thinks been taken over by changelings, or where have Starfleet been infiltrated. And as they're looking at all of this, a message comes through, encrypted message, which they take, and that's Worf. So we find out that Ro was Worf's handler. So he's been investigating. That was like, she said she's got a couple of people on the ground that she trusts. And that's obviously Worf and Raffi. But certainly Worf. So he's like, oh, what's happened to Ro? And obviously their faces just drop and they don't have to say. But now, so this is how obviously Worf is now going to be linking up with Riker and Jean-Luc. Then we go to sickbay. Where the bodies of the 4 changelings are. Shaw's there, and he sort of says, oh, nice shooting, kid. And he's just like, yeah. But obviously Jack actually looking very disturbed. And Beverly sort of says to Shaw and the nurse, like, do you mind if we have a minute? And they're like, sure, and they leave. And then Beverly sort of says to him, look, I'm your mum. I can see you're not okay. Like, kind of what's going on. I can tell you've not been sleeping. You've got that look you had when you were younger. And he sort of says, that he's having nightmares. And, he's not quite sure what's going on. And she says to him, like, how did you know they were changelings? And he's got a tear kind of, he's like really quite upset, or scared, I think, more than anything. And he's just like, I didn't. So, he could have killed 4 innocent people. I mean, it was highly unlikely because they were trying to kidnap him. But he's just like, but I didn't. And that is where it ends. So it's a banger of an episode. Loads of like setup happening right now. I'm pretty confident it's going to pay off from everything that we're hearing. But I am loving where this story's going, how they're introducing the characters. Again, bringing back an old character, a smaller character, really, but not she wasn't a major character. Like I say, she's probably about 5 episodes in total, but had that backstory with Jean-Luc. So it did have some purpose when she sacrificed herself and their conversation. So I thought that was a great piece of writing. I really liked that. I enjoyed it. And it brings a little bit of a lump to your throat. But yeah, absolutely. So the intrigue is building. Picard had mentioned to Ro in 10 Forward about I'll speak to Janeway. I'll try and get hold of such and such. And she's like, good luck with that. I've been trying. I've tried this. I've tried everything. But there's these gatekeepers and I can't get past them. Maybe you'd have more luck, but who's to say that you could even trust, Janeway at the end of the day? And she's gone on to say, well, I came over in the shuttle because there's all these accidents. And then, basically when they're getting away and Shaw's like, they're coming, like they're going to be coming after us. And Shaw's like, well, who's coming after us? And Riker's just like, everyone. So, they've got the changelings coming after them. They've got Starfleet coming after them. We don't know. We didn't see the Shriek in this episode because obviously their ship was crippled at the end of the last one, but potentially they're still coming after them. They are in a bad way. And it's great though. It is, you know, that you know, everybody. It's really obvious that there's lots of similarities and homage to Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock. You know, so now effectively they've stolen the Titan and they're running to try and figure out, you know, what are the changelings up to? What's their end goal? Is it just to take over Starfleet, or is it wider? Is it bigger? We just don't know. And still we don't know why are the changelings after Jack. Now, as far as we know, obviously Beverly's human. Jean-Luc's, well, he's an android, but at the time he was with Beverly, he was human. So Jack's their son, so therefore he should be human. Or has Jack been replaced when he got captured and the real Jack's somewhere else or dead, and this is a replacement Jack and he doesn't know what he is? Oh my God, there's just so many questions. And it's like, but it's nice. It's not a girl who's the key to everything for a change. It's a guy that's the key to everything right now with Jack. So yeah, really, really getting intrigued as to where this story is going, how it's going to play out. We still know we've got Geordie to come in at some point in the second half of this season. And I say it every week, but I am just loving this show. It's so good to have old Star Trek back. Again, as I say every week, it's not perfect. There's some stuff that you kind of, but the storytelling is just so good. The characterization, it's just fun, and I really look forward to every Friday to watch the episode, to give my reviews. I've watched this episode twice already. It's a bit later today. I was at a crazy busy day yesterday, so I didn't get to watch it till quite late last night. I just watched it again this morning to refresh myself before making the video. But it's good excuse to watch it twice. And I enjoyed it equally as much both times. So keep it coming, Terry. Loving what you're doing. Sign the petition that you get to make more Star Trek. I really hope you do. Paramount are insane if they do not give you the opportunity to make more Trek. It's great seeing Star Trek trending. It's great to see Picard season 3 trending on the channels as, you know, popular shows. It's just fantastic, and I cannot wait for next week and how this story just plays out. It's keeping us on our toes, keeping us guessing. You know, it's nothing worse than halfway through and you're like, well, it's obviously this, isn't it? Or the ending is just so ridiculous that it's just like, what? That's got no connection to anything that we've seen. I really don't think we're going to get that kind of ending. I think, you know, all of this is going to make sense. All the threads are going to come together, and I'm here for it. So, as always, do please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Can't do it without you guys. And do leave me some comments. What are you thinking of this season? I've had a couple of dislikes. I don't know if that's about the show or about me. That's fine. It's cool. But it's great to know why you don't like the video. Is it my delivery, or is it the things I'm saying about the show? The things I'm saying about the show and you disagree with me, I'd love to know why, and we can have a chat about it. And talk about it maybe on my live stream. So anyway, I will be back next week with episode 6. So strap yourselves in, walk back to 9, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.